And lastly, John Prevc. I hope you realise we're subliminally trying to get you to realise all the things that the UK is best at. You know, with construction, with wonderful buildings, and with British military marching bands.
Good morning, everybody. I think I'm the only architect talking today, which is interesting. Welcome, the architect from India. But on that note, I'm not going to talk much about architecture, which is slightly peculiar. But I want to talk about social regeneration, and specifically about how, in a discussion with a doctor, he told me that I can actually save more lives than he can. And I was looking at this doctor thinking, what the hell are you talking about? You save lives every day. And he said, well, actually, if you design really good streets and spaces, you can make people live longer. You can have them socially more active, they can talk to each other, and they physically go out and walk and be active. And if your streets are not safe, if they're not inviting people into them, actually those people will probably die sooner. So architects can be lifesavers. There you go. Now, a few points I'm going to make about the social value that's important. A few words, forgive me, I think it's important messages to get across. That the society that we're living at the moment is very pluralistic. It's very transitory. People are moving around a lot for jobs. There's a fast and slow living, and by that I mean you've got the internet and you've got people wanting to walk everywhere and talk to each other. The population is aging, we know that, and how lifetime homes and things are having to react to that. We talked about youth unemployment as a global issue, and it's a problem here in the UK at the moment. And also density. We are wanting cities to be a lot more dense than they ever have been. So what should we propose? Certainly an increase in local employment, very important to create jobs where you do your job. An increase in the mix of uses, so that we're not just doing mono-mix societies. Making sure tenures, housing tenures, are mixed as well, so that we get all sorts of people living together and understand, therefore, from each other. Making sure that public transport works, and it's the focus rather than the car. Space should be democratic, i.e. we shouldn't close things off, shouldn't fence things off, we should allow people into and own of spaces. Education is important, as we all know, and we need to make sure that when we regenerate places, we give that opportunity for people to learn, be it on a construction site, be it spending time in an architect's office and seeing how we do our job. And also to increase community facilities, to make sure that we offer something back, not just take the money out of the development for ourselves. So what should that result in? We talked about governance, social inclusion, etc. Give people their say. It's absolutely very important. So improve public transport, as I've mentioned, walking and cycling being a priority at the moment. The ownership of place by the local authority is key. Identity uniqueness. Every place is different. You cannot design what you did for one city in another city. You have to start with a new sheet of paper and start talking to people, because they will tell you what it is they want. You don't know. You can guess it, but you'll get it wrong, that's for sure. I mentioned education and jobs earlier. You have to seed those in order to make community work. You have to deliver social issues, social facilities like doctor surgeries, like creches, etc. Making sure play, culture, and leisure is part of that offer, and make sure that you design for flexibility and tomorrow, so that things don't, as they never do, stay static. So I'm going to talk not about the Olympics. We did, thankfully, build the handball arena, the copper box, at the Olympics, but in the spirit of regeneration, I think I will rather talk about the Elephant Castle in Southwark, with a project that I've worked on for almost 15 years now. That's how long it's taken for it just to get to planning. So you can imagine it's been a long, long struggle, and with Southwark Council and with Lend-Lease, who are the developers, we're now moving forward. And just to let you know where it is, because some of you obviously don't know, even if you are in London, you think the Elephant is somewhere deep south, and you can probably pick cotton in the fields and all those sorts of things. It's actually further north than Victoria Station, so it's very, very much central London, Zone 1, in the middle of town. And the opportunity area is very large, but we're concentrating now specifically on the 10-hectare regeneration area, which is the green and yellow element on that diagram. So what's the problem? We've got a number of component parts which really are causing this place not to work well. One is the shopping centre, which is very inward looking. And around the edge, there's this moat. And in that moat, people are forced to do their business. They trade underground. Appalling. And people move underground or overground. The cars, the buses, they take the ground plane, they're in control. 60s model, a lot of what's happened in British cities over the last, God knows how many years. The Haygate estate, designed in 74, you wouldn't believe it, it looks older, but a fortified island, 12-storey concrete blocks which contain an inner development. And this is what it's like today. No active ground, all about cars, all about people walking up in those walkways that you see above. But it has one redeeming feature. Apart from the community, it has a wonderful urban forest. Mature trees which have just, by the way, grown in the meantime. And they're there, and they're an asset. And this is the only connection between the Elephant and Castle shopping centre and the Haygate estate over a distance of over 300 metres. It's ridiculously badly connected. So what is our ambition? Simple one, and it's to reconnect communities. It's to bring the communities, north, south, east and west of the Haygate, back together again. And the Haygate estate is the focus of that element of change. So the vision was very much to improve perceptions of the Elephant. Everyone thinks it's a horrible place. It can be physically at times, but it's got a wonderful community. Identity and brand, part of the changing mechanism to work around how you can make this place be perceived to be by others to be better than they think it is. Health and safety, well-being, making sure that the quality of life improves, creating a desirable destination, clearly somewhere where you come out the tube station, you say, I'm at the Elephant, isn't it great? Create new public open spaces. Part of every strategic new city is about moving from one place to another, being dragged through, pulled through, or actually just wandering around and making yourself feel as if you're welcome to go from one thing to another. There's an opportunity here for taller structures. Some of you will know the LVMF, which is a mechanism by the GLA to reduce heights. We are tainted by that somewhat here, but still there is an opportunity to do taller structures here. And also to develop a hierarchy of building scales and typologies. And to really make sure that at the end of all this, the development's owned by the community, that they've actually bought into it. And this is the brief, so we're producing over 2,400 new homes, 60 new shops, 60 new cafes, making sure we can get more employment. Cars are still welcome, although Southwark Council have zero tolerance on cars. But the majority of those cars will be for people with mobility impairments. Lots and lots of cycles, and a total area of approximately 220,000 odd square meters. So consultation, this is the heart of regeneration, is this thing I mentioned earlier, it is talking to people. And we talked to a lot of people over a long period of time. Just look at the public list, how many exhibitions and meetings we've had. Statutory authorities are statutory authorities. Clearly, they are people that we have to talk to and quite rightly have a view. And the involvement of the local community was at the core. And we did workshops, say over a year and a half worth of workshops. We did exhibitions in the heart of the community. We've produced drawings. We invited people in to say what they wanted to say. And we dealt with people of all ages. We had forums for people that were kids at school, students, people that had retired, people that had visual impairments, for example. We went through the whole of the community to talk to them and ask them what they felt was right. And we walked them around the site and tried to explain what we're doing and why. Now, there's a couple of quick diagrams. This is the disconnected Elephant and Castle. In the heart of this, you have the Haygate estate, and our ambition is to connect it back together again. And the streets and the links and the spaces that you design will either make it work or make it fail. And by breaking those big boundaries down, by breaking those buildings which are 200 odd meters long into chunks, taking them away and putting those streets back in, we can reconnect the community. And at the heart of it, a destination, the biggest new urban park in London for over 80 years. A large park, and on the heart of that park, it's there now actually, the trees are there, we're keeping the majority of the trees to reinforce the value of the place. And that's not just the physical environmental value, it's a fiscal value. Flats sell better for a larger sum of money if you're looking at a nice green open space. So the developer's got his head screwed on in the right place. In terms of height, the tallest structure is about 30 meters. And the idea that it moves from the city center element in the heart, and it moves down to a lower level as it goes towards the suburban urban elements to the east and west. And we've designed distinctive character areas within this space, so every place is different. They all have different uses and different ideas, identities. Just a few slides now of before and after. This is Wandsey Street, just off the Walworth Road. Before and after. A place which at the moment has really no social value, and will have a place, it'll be a place which will be a square and somewhere where people can meet. And this is the Walworth Road today, the northern end of the Walworth Road near the railway station. And the ambition is to make yet another place, another square, where people can shop, meet. And this is a wet day in England. I mean, this is not Barcelona, sun doesn't shine all summer, you know, as we've noticed this year. So we're realistic in how we're portraying this. So there'll be a new local retail street, and the idea is to produce streets that are there for local businesses to set up their own practice. And this is this new public park in the centre. And finally, a couple of slides. So this is looking north today, and the value, as I said before, really, is the location of the elephant. It's situated in the arc of the river, and that's why it's perceived to be so far south. But yet the view is the whole of northern London. Everything from the Palace of Westminster through to St. Paul's and east to Canary Wharf are all visible. And this is the final shot of the vision in 2024. So a lot to be said. I could talk a lot longer about social value and the integrity of the social community, but I'll leave it there and thank you.